Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Buy Your First, Second, or Third Rental Property. I'm going to be your host, Dave Meyer, and I am very excited to share this webinar from BiggerPockets with you today. Today, we're going to talk about what it would take to get your first rental property, but we're also going to talk about what comes next, your second, your third, and so on. There are a lot of principles to scaling and gaining momentum in your real estate journey that can feel a bit mysterious, but today I'm going to help clear up some of that mystery and show you how to get your first few deals. Now, I personally have become financially free with the help of real estate investing, and I've seen thousands of people do it in my career at BiggerPockets, and I know that anyone who is willing to take action, to step up, get into the game, can do the same, and that's what we're going to do today. Now, I want to start off our webinar today with a couple of questions. And the first one is, why do so many people want to invest in real estate, but never actually go ahead, pull the trigger, and get started? It's kind of weird, right? The other question you should ask yourself is, why do so many people get that first deal, but then actually never go anywhere from there? They don't scale up to build a bigger portfolio and achieve what most of us in real estate are after, which is financial freedom. Well, today we are going to address both of these questions and make sure that you can not only get your first deal, but can also start to scale up. And we're going to do that first and foremost by learning what we call the stack method. After that, I'm also going to reveal 3 roadblocks that a lot of new investors face, and we're going to talk about how you can navigate around those roadblocks and start to build momentum. And then lastly, I'm also going to give a live on-screen demo of some tools and resources that are going to make the entire process of real estate investing faster and easier for you. These are tools that I personally use to find properties, analyze deals, and I think they can do the same thing for you. All right, I also have a special invitation for those of you who want to supercharge your investing journey, but I'm going to share that with you at the end of the presentation, so just make sure to stick around for that. Now, I want to take a minute before we dive into the content and just sort of set the stage here. And since you're attending this webinar, you already likely know that real estate can change your life. It can offer you a reliable stream of income from cash flow that rolls in every single month. It also offers huge tax advantages, something I think a lot of investors overlook. And this is one of the great benefits of real estate that most other asset classes don't have. There's also an opportunity to build equity, which are big chunks of cash that can help secure your financial future. But to me, at least, each of those things, cash flow, tax advantages, equity, they're sort of a means to an end, right? Like cash flow is great, equity is great, but what does that buy you? What does that actually get you? Because for most investors that at least I know, those financial benefits are actually in service of something bigger and perhaps something even more meaningful than just cash. And it's different for everyone what they're actually looking for, but it's likely something like this. It's either financial independence, which you've always dreamed about, being able to basically do what you want, when you want, and with who you want. Or perhaps you want to create generational wealth and change your family tree for the better. Or just have that security and peace of mind that comes from knowing that you have a reliable source of income outside of your regular job. And a true life of financial freedom is absolutely possible from real estate, and all you have to do is buy one property at a time. Now ask yourself, what would that actually be like? What would you do with that freedom? Because I think it's really important for investors to sort of have that end in mind. Not just, oh, I can make a couple $100 a month here in cash flow, but think about what really motivates you, the thing that you're trying to accomplish long term that's usually more to do with your lifestyle or your personal ambitions than it is from money. And I find that if you keep that in mind as you're an investor, it's actually more motivating and will help you scale up, which is really what we're focusing on today. So now we've talked about a lot of the amazing benefits of real estate investing, but I know that realistically, a lot of you listening to this have reservations about getting started on that journey. Maybe you're thinking that you don't have enough money to get started, but realistically, you can take actionable steps like right now, today, to start building your savings and connect with the right people for funding. And we'll talk about that a lot today. Or maybe you're fearful about losing money by offering on the wrong deals. But realistically, choosing the right deals isn't that hard. It's just really about following a simple analysis framework and repeatedly running the numbers to get good at it and being able to identify what's a good deal. We'll talk about that a lot today. Or maybe you already have a property, even a few, but you're feeling stuck. You're not sure what to do next or how to scale up to reach your financial goals. But realistically, all it takes to get that momentum to grow is learning repeatable processes that other investors have already paved the way with. So we'll talk about that, of course, too. And I know you have these reservations because honestly, I had them too. I am sort of more advanced in my investing career right now, but when I was in your shoes, when I was a newbie, I was thinking the exact same thing. But I did it. I was able to overcome them. And let's be honest, I am absolutely not special. This is not something I personally was so brilliant and figured out. It's just that I, one, found the right tools that helped me scale up. Two, I got the right education, so I felt more confident about my investing. And three, I found the right people because at the end of the day, real estate is really a relationship business. This is probably a good time for me to just take a step back and introduce myself. My name is Dave Meyer. I've been an investor for 14 years. I also work full-time at BiggerPockets because I love my job. I get to do all sorts of fun stuff like hosting a podcast, making YouTube videos. I've also written 2 books called Real Estate by the Numbers and Start with Strategy. But more relevant to our conversation than what I do right now is that I too was a newbie and was trying to figure out how to get my first deal, how to get my second deal, and how to scale up from there. And over that process of scaling, I made a ton of mistakes. But once I found those right tools, that right education, and those right people, that's when I really started to take off. And now I've accomplished most of my goals. I get to live in Europe. I am financially free. I get to spend my time how I want. But again, I started like scratch from everyone else. And honestly, I wish I had the tools and the learning that you all can just find right now from BiggerPockets. It actually took me 6 years of investing on my own and making stuff up until I found the calculators, the community, the landlord forms, everything that comes with BiggerPockets. So over the course of your investing career, if you ever have a question and you're like, man, I wish I knew the answer to this or I had a tool for that, just go to BiggerPockets. We usually have a tool for you and you can check those out. And my story of using these tools that BiggerPockets creates to grow is not unique. You can find stories all over the forums within our community of people who have done this, literally tens of thousands of people. Here's just one example I plucked from the forums from Jason Vielli, who said that his passive cash flow from his rentals has surpassed living expenses, and he was able to quit his 6-figure finance career to do real estate investing full time. That's obviously an incredible story, but these stories are everywhere, and it can be you. What Jason has figured out, what I've figured out, and what many others on BiggerPockets have figured out is that it doesn't take that many properties to achieve financial freedom. In reality, you can actually replace your income, you can build wealth, and live life on your own terms if you follow a sustainable, well-worn process for buying real estate. And financial freedom can just start with your first few deals. And I know that doesn't really make sense. It sort of feels like this far off goal, but it's not, because getting started is really all about momentum, getting that knowledge, finding the right tools, and meeting the right people. And from there, you can really scale to almost any size that you want to accomplish. But guys, it does take work. Real estate is not a get-rich-quick scheme, but if you work it, real estate can absolutely work for you. So if you're down and you want to put in the effort to become financially free, this is the right webinar for you. Let's get into it. Okay, so in our agenda, we talked about the stack. That was the first thing we were going to learn. So let's dig into that and why the first deals actually matter a lot and how they honestly don't matter all that much. Because really, the first few deals are about building momentum and learning the processes that you can, again, like I said before, scale up and use at any level of investing you really want to. So for most people, this is the path that they should probably follow. Like, it's not for everyone, but this is just a rough idea, because building wealth is not about a single property. It's about building an entire portfolio. Don't get stuck on, how you're going to get huge. Just think about buying that first deal. Most people start with a single family rental, and that's because for most people who are starting from a strong financial position, financing a single family rental is possible. You can put as little as 3.5% down, which we'll talk about later. But if you can figure out a way to finance and get that first property, you are going to learn so much, which is the absolute key to that first deal. Because if you learn enough in that first deal, then the next year, you can go and buy a duplex. That's just basically repeating the process you've already figured out, because a duplex, not really that different from a single family home, but you're getting double the doors. And then maybe the year after that, you buy a quadplex, not super different than a duplex. And you're taking the learning from that first deal, applying it to the second deal, taking the learning from the second deal, applying it to the third deal. And you go on like this on and on and on until eventually you're able to acquire enough units to replace your income and achieve the financial freedom that you are looking for. And the goal here is not about specific unit counts. This is just an example. The goal here is to build momentum over your investing career so that you can reach whatever level of scale you're looking for. So hopefully that makes sense, but let's talk about some of the roadblocks that most people face to achieving this stack. And this happens if you're new, and even if you are an experienced investor. The three things we constantly hear about at BiggerPockets are: one, deals; number two, dollars, or another way of saying financing. And three is direction, like knowing what to do next and what to focus on. And so we're going to spend some time today talking about each of these in details. Let's start at the top with deals. Now, there are a lot of ways to get deals. People are constantly asking about this, but there are so many good ways to do it. Number one is relationships, like I said, relationship business this is. So if you meet a lot of other investors or wholesalers, agents, loan officers, they might be able to point you towards deals. You can also do a variety of different direct marketing campaigns, which is basically reaching out to people who haven't listed their property for sale and seeing if they're willing to sell it to you off market. One way to do that is driving for dollars. You can also do that through mail letters, or you could do that through cold call. And I've actually done some of these types of deals myself, but they take a lot of time and effort. That doesn't mean they're bad. They actually yield a lot of really good deals. But for some people, they don't want to put in the time and effort of setting up essentially a business to do that direct type of marketing. So let's actually talk about my favorite way to find deals, which is not revolutionary, but it is the easiest way to find deals, which is getting an investor-friendly real estate agent to help you find potential properties. These people, it's not any type of agent. There are tons of agents out there, but you need to find a specific type of agent. These types of agents think like an investor. They are absolutely local market experts and not just selling you a dream home. They understand rents. They understand where renters want to live. They understand what properties are going to appreciate the most. And maybe most importantly, they have a strong boots on the ground network to tap into. These are people like contractors, property managers, lenders that you can work with, because agents often are sort of your point person when getting your first few deals. So you want to find a really good one. So you're probably thinking, great, I'm in. Let's find a great agent, but you don't know how to do that. Well, BiggerPockets makes that easy for you. Just go to biggerpockets.com/agents. You put in a little bit of information about you, and for free, you will get matched with an investor-friendly agent who helps you understand your market and can help you find deals in whatever market you're looking for. So hopefully you can see now that finding deals, or what I would actually call leads, is not that hard. And a lead is something that an agent sends you, you get from driving for dollars, whatever. And these are potential properties that you want to consider or want to go deeper on. But the reality is that no matter if you have the best agent in the world, you have the best deal flow in the world, most properties are not actually good deals. They're leads, they're prospects, but you actually need to do deal analysis to know which properties are good deals. And BiggerPockets actually makes this super easy for you as well, because hopefully you have good deal flow from your agent, you're getting a ton of properties, and you need to be able to run the numbers on these relatively quickly to be able to weed out the bad ones and spend your time on the ones that are good. All right, so I'm actually going to pop out of our presentation and just go over to the BiggerPockets calculator and show you how to do this. And I have selected a property I'll show you here before we move over in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I picked this one because honestly, I saw some lists that said that Green Bay had one of the best qualities of life in the whole country, and I was curious about it. So I found this cool little property here. It's a duplex, and we're gonna go run the numbers on it. All right, so we are here on the BiggerPockets rental property calculator. If you want to find this for yourself, just go to this tools thing, hover over it, and then hit rental property. And just start by putting in the property address, which is 1745 South Norwood, Green Bay. See, it already has the autofill. We're going to click on that, and you can see it's importing property data. I'll talk to you about that in a minute while I'm pulling up this photo. I like to add photos. You don't need to, but I think it's really helpful because, like I was talking about, you need to analyze a lot of leads to find a good deal. And I'm just more visual. I find it easier to be like, oh, that's that nice gray duplex with the ramp. And then I do remembering addresses. I can never remember addresses. All right, so then you just hit next purchase and you go on to purchase price, which is $179,900. And for right now, we're just going to assume that we're buying it for full rental price. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. Purchase closing costs, I'm going to put at $5,000. Now, I've done enough deals to know that that's roughly what it costs for a rental property to close. But if you ever have problems, this goes for the whole calculator. Just hit these little help buttons over here, like this calculate closing costs, and it'll give you some rules of thumb, especially if you're new. This is really helpful. Like typical closing costs are around 1% to 2%. If unsure, use 1.5% of purchase price. So that will help you be able to get practice at these deals, even if you don't know the specific number just yet. So then we're going to move on to loan details. So this is super easy, right, guys? As you can see here, there's 5 steps in analyzing these deals. You do property info, purchase, loan details, rental income, expenses. We're already on step 3, loan details. Now, I'm going to put 25% down because for most investor loans, if you're not living in it and it's a duplex or bigger, you need to put 25% down. That's not always true, but for most of my deals, that's actually what I put down. And so I'm going to put 25% down. Interest rate, it's about 7% right now, so I'm going to put that there. And my loan terms are going to be 30 years. Next, I'm going to hit income, flying through this thing. So here comes the rent part, which is one of the things I think a lot of people get hung up. Now, our listing agent said that the projected rent was $2,400, but at BiggerPockets, we have a tool that can actually help you estimate rent. Again, you just go to this tools thing and go to rent estimator, and you put in the address. And what I have here is that this is a house with 2-bed, 1 bath, and it's showing us that it thinks rent is $1,450 a month. That's awesome. That would be amazing. So if that's just for 1 unit. So if we added that together, that'd be $2,900 a month, which is well higher than what the listing agent said. Now, when I go back to my calculator, I'm probably going to average the difference of these because I don't know this market very well. And so I'm going to say $2,650 just to be conservative. I always recommend you're conservative. Never use like the highest number you hear because then everything has to go right for the deal to go right. And I'd rather you just sort of like guess or estimate on the low end so that even if things don't go perfectly, you still have a good deal. So that's it. And then we're moving on to expenses, which is the last part. We start with what are known as fixed expenses, which are first going to be taxes. So this is going to be $1,250 per month. I looked this up, and insurance was $1,100 per month, per year for both of those. Not per month. That would be very expensive. So that's it. Those things are really easy to look up. For insurance, you can always just Google it if you're not familiar with the area, which is what I did before I got on the call. All right, next we have what we call variable expenses, which are things that you don't know the exact amount for. Like taxes, you have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be that year, but repairs and maintenance, you don't really know. CapEx, you don't really know. So what we recommend you do is use a percentage of income. So for repairs and maintenance, I'm going to use 8%. For vacancy, I also use 8% because I think this is that's about 1 month of vacancy. And for capital expenditures, I'm going to use 5%. If you've never heard the term capital expenditures, it's pretty similar to repairs and maintenance, but it's bigger stuff like replacing a roof or adding value, like if you wanted to add a bedroom or finish out a basement. They're treated differently by the IRS in tax terms, so that's why you have to separate capital expenditures from repairs and maintenance. Next, I'm going to go on to property management fees, which I, as an out-of-state investor, need to factor in. If you're going to self-manage, you can put 0 here, but I don't live in Green Bay, so I'm going to put 8% here, which is, I invest in 2 different markets with out-of-state with property managers, and I pay about 8% for both of them. Next, we're going to do our utilities, but I personally really like to find properties that are metered separately so the tenants just pay their own utilities. I just find that so much easier. Like, I don't need to get involved in that, right? Like, I don't want to know what your electricity bill is. That's up to you. Just go pay it. So if you find a duplex or triplex where it's not metered separately, you can Google the estimates and put those in here. But if you're doing a single family or a duplex that's metered separately, you can just do 0 for all of these. I typically do pay garbage, which is like $25 a month, so I'll put that in there. But that's it. We've done it. I'm talking a lot right now, and I still managed to analyze this deal in like 5 minutes. If you are getting good at this and you've practiced this enough, you will probably be able to do this really quickly. Okay, so this is what our deal is. We are showing an amazing cash on cash return. Don't expect every deal to be this good. I think I randomly just picked a really good one, or some of my assumptions might be wrong. So when you do this analysis, what you're looking for is outliers, right? Like, you're looking for deals that are better than average, because if you're going to rent, look through a lot of deals, 10, 20, 30, you're going to get a good sense. Like, in Green Bay, the average deals are 3% cash on cash return. Now, this one's 14%. So normally I'd be like, okay, let's go buy this. But also, if it's so far above a normal deal, you also want to, take it with a grain of salt and question it. So what I would do in this scenario is go in and ask, do an inspection if I was making an offer on this, to make sure there's not really big problems with the property, and figure out why it's only listed at this price. Or perhaps my rent estimate is really off. I would call a property manager to make sure that my rent estimate is appropriate. But as you remembered, we actually looked at 2 different rent estimates, the BiggerPockets tool and the seller's comps. And so maybe this is just a really good deal. I don't know, guys. This is just an example. What I'm trying to do is show you how to analyze deals. So this is a great deal, but I want to show you a couple of extra tools here. So once you've done this analysis, you want to double check everything. And say you went and talked to your property manager and said, hey, this deal looks amazing. Do you think I can actually get $2,400 a month for rent there? And they say, no, actually, I think it's $2,200. So you can actually just slide it down, and let's just do $2,160. And you say, okay, $2,160, even if my estimates are wrong, my cash on cash is still great. It's 10%. I can get $415 per month. Great. So that is an awesome thing to know. Or perhaps this actually happened to me the other day. I ran a deal and it was so good, I knew that I had to offer over asking price. Even in this type of economy, this is still happening. Sometimes agents just underprice properties, either intentionally or unintentionally, to try and get people to overbid. And I had to do this. So what happens if you find out that this property is super competitive, everyone wants in on this deal, and you're actually going to pay, let's say the price goes up to $195. Okay, maybe you're getting $2,400, but you're paying $195. Great. You're still getting a great cash on cash return at 11%. That's amazing. That's probably better than most deals, just to be realistic about you. With you guys, even if you find a 6-7% cash on cash return, that's great. I buy deals for 4% cash on cash returns a lot of the time. So don't expect this. I'm just trying to show you how this works. But you can adjust your examples here. Or maybe loan amount, your interest rate goes up to 7.3%. Okay, you're still getting a good deal. The purpose of me showing you this is that not all deals are perfect based on your first run at it. You want to change your assumptions and sort of stress test the deal a little bit. See what happens if your purchase price is more than you were thinking. See what happens if your interest rate was more or less. See what happens if you don't get the rent that you're expecting. Stress test your deals using this analysis, and that takes a lot of risk out of it. So a couple other things about the calculator. If you scroll all the way down here, you can see how your entire annualized return is. And for example, this deal, if you held on it for 10 years, you would make 118 grand, which is amazing considering what you're putting into this deal. So this tool, hopefully you can see, helps you really analyze these deals really quickly and accurately. And the last thing I want to show you is if you hit this share button and then hit enable report sharing and download PDF, you're going to get this super professional looking PDF that shows all the things that you just learned about this particular deal on a PDF, which you can then show to a partner that you're trying to attract, or maybe you want to get your spouse on board, or maybe you're going to talk to a lender and you want to show them that you have a great deal lined up. So don't forget to do this part when you're using the BiggerPockets calculator. All right, so I'm going to switch back to our presentation now, and we'll keep going with the webinar. So just to summarize our conversation about the first D, which was deals, you need to get deal flow, which you can do from off-market or relationships. I recommend using an agent. And then you need to be able to analyze deals quickly to figure out which one is a good lead. From that point, you can move on to the second D, which is dollars. This is just another term for financing, and there's a lot of different ways that you can find money for a deal. You can go to a bank or a credit union and get a traditional loan. You can, again, go for a partnership, which is basically you can get private money lending, which is hard if you're new, just to be honest, or you can find an equity partner, someone who wants to help you pay for the down payment or maybe buy the property in cash with you. And that's definitely a possibility. You can also use the BRRRR method, which is a great way of sort of recycling your funds so that when you're building your stack, you don't need to have more and more equity. You can sort of very efficiently use the money that you have to build your entire portfolio. But before you go to actually select a specific financing strategy, I want to share with you sort of a principle about raising money or finding capital that investors need to keep in mind. If you have the right property and the right network, funding deals is not that hard. Because at the end of the day, finding a good deal makes money a lot easier to find. Just think about it for a minute, right? If you were to come to me, and let's just imagine I'm a bank, and you came to me and said, "Hey, Dave, bank, would you lend to me so I can buy some real estate?" And I'd say, "Yeah, maybe. Like, what are you intending to buy?" And you say, "Oh, I don't know. I just want to go out and buy real estate." I'd say, "You know what? That sounds pretty risky to me. I don't know if you're going to buy a good deal or a bad deal. Why don't you come back to me once you have a good deal in place?" Now think about the other side of that. If you came up to me and said, "Hey, Dave Bank, I have this incredible deal. It's going to produce a 5% cash on cash return. It's in a great neighborhood. It's in great shape. And you have no worries about me being able to pay my mortgage every single month." Me as the bank would say, "Okay, now we have a conversation to have because I can see that you've done your due diligence. You've analyzed deals, and I see that you have reduced the risk for me as the bank, and now I'm more likely to lend to you." Because the truth is, once you know how to find and analyze deals, conversations with lenders get a lot easier. There's a reason we're going in order, and we did deals first and dollars second, and this is it. So you're probably thinking, okay, great. Now I know how to analyze deals, so I'm going to use that in my conversations with lenders. But you're probably wondering, how do I find a good lender in the first place? Well, use the BiggerPockets Lender Finder. Just go to biggerpockets.com/lenders and you'll be able to get matched with a lender who understands real estate investing and understands deal analysis and is going to be able to work with you to help secure your next deal. All right, so that's deals. Then we did dollars. We're going to get to the third D, which is direction. This is probably the most underappreciated, but maybe the most important of the three, which is maintaining your focus. I love this quote from Yogi Berra, who said, "If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else." Which is sort of what I was talking about at the beginning, which is keeping that end in mind and maintaining your focus. Because there's so many great ways to invest in real estate, but you have to know exactly what you're pursuing. And I think the best way to do that is three things. Number one is education. So you need to pick what you're doing and really educate yourself. You've made a great first step by attending this webinar. But if you're going to try to buy residential property, buy a book, listen to podcasts, and really maintain that focus on building your stack and portfolio so you don't get distracted. Speaking of not getting distracted, I highly recommend that you write down what you want your next deal to be. This is often takes the form of a buy box. This is basically saying, I want to buy a duplex or I want to buy a single family home. Write down the price point that you want to buy it at and the location that you're going to do. So using our example from before, maybe say, I want to buy a duplex under $250,000 in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Each side needs to have 2 beds and 2 baths minimum. This is going to really help you with the first two steps, because then when you talk to an agent or you go out and look for deals, you don't have to look at all the thousands of deals that are on the market or off market. You could just say, these are the deals that I'm looking for. So I highly recommend, once you've educated yourself and learned about different types of deals, to establish focus and write down what you're going to do. And then lastly is process. So you really need to just get in the right flow of analyzing these deals. So for most people, that means starting with your deal flow. That's like a deal analysis coming from your agent. Then you take all of those and figure out which ones you want to analyze, put those into the BiggerPockets calculator, and figure out which deals are bad and which ones you're going to offer on. Not every deal you analyze is going to be good, and not every deal you offer on is going to be accepted, which is why you need this process, because you need to be continuously doing this over and over and over, and that will get you your next deal. And then when you're ready to buy your second deal or your third deal, you do the same thing again. You just repeat this process of finding deals and finding dollars over and over again until you find a great deal. Just to recap what we've talked about before, first, we talked about building a stack and focusing on momentum towards your bigger portfolio. You do that by finding deals with a great agent or looking off market. You find dollars once you've gotten good at analyzing deals that will make your conversations with lenders a lot more productive. And third, you need direction to make sure that you have the right knowledge, focus, and process to stay with this long enough to find the right deals and build that momentum. Now, I know that even though you've learned this stuff, if you're new to this, real estate investing often feels like jumping off a cliff. I know that it can feel extremely risky and like you don't know what you're doing. But take it from me and other investors, real estate investing is honestly, it's more like a hike. Like, it's not some extreme sport. It's actually a tame sport where you're walking on this well-worn path, and you're probably walking with friends because there's communities of investors who have done all of this before. And it's a really sort of nice community where people are very willing to share what they've learned before. And at BiggerPockets, we really embrace this idea. We try to build tools to help investors on their journey and their life goals. It's not just theory. This is stuff that we do every single day. I've been doing this for 8 years, and I've seen thousands, tens of thousands of real estate investors, including myself, find financial freedom just by doing the stuff that we've talked about today. So with that in mind, I want to ask you guys 2 questions. First and foremost, are you now, given what you've learned, committed to buying your first, second, or third deal in the next 12 months? Remember at the beginning, I asked you a different question. Why do so many people want to invest in real estate, but don't actually get started? So now, after you've learned some of the process and ways to get around common roadblocks, ask yourself, are you committed to buying your first, second, or third deal? Are you going to be the one of the people who actually take action? And the second question here is, are you prepared to follow and execute a daily plan to reach your full potential? Because you have to be committed, but you need that process and you need to maintain it daily or monthly to actually get to the level of momentum you need to pursue financial freedom. If you answered yes to both of these questions, which I hope you did, because that is our goal here, is to give you the confidence to start moving forward. And if that is you, let's talk about how to make this year a year of change. Because real estate investing, it works. And our goal at BiggerPockets is to help you reach whatever goals you may have through real estate. And the main way we do that is through tools to help you scale up faster and with less pain, less of a learning curve that I had to go through. And the way we do that is through BiggerPockets Pro, which is a subscription that really bundles everything that you need to start, scale, and manage your portfolio. How we do that specifically, if you're wondering, how could one subscription possibly give me everything I need? Here's a few examples. First, we give you amazing analysis tools. I showed you them earlier. And, deal analysis is kind of my thing. I wrote an entire book about it. And I use these calculators in my own deal analysis. And that's why I can confidently recommend them to you. They really are the best in the industry, and I highly recommend you use them. That's one thing you get as part of Pro. You also get direct contact with some of the most experienced, best teachers in the entire real estate industry. These are people like Ashley Kerr, Henry Washington, Matt Faircloth, because as a pro, you get discounts on our investing boot camps. You also get exclusive to live webinars with experts that you cannot get if you're not a BiggerPockets pro. You also can supercharge your network by getting into the exclusive pro member forums where a lot of serious investors hang out. And by having the pro profile badge, you're actually going to build 3 times more connections than our free members. That's what our data shows. And as we've been talking about, building a network, having those relationships is so important to real estate investing. You also get access to this landlord command center. Basically everything you need. You want a property management software? Well, we got one for you from RentReady. Most people pay $240 a year for that. You get it for free. Or do you want portfolio monitoring to make sure that your deals are absolutely optimized? Well, you get that from Stessa for free. What about leases or pet addendums or all the legal forms that you need as a landlord? You get those for free as pro. So these are just some of the examples of how BiggerPockets has sort of crafted the suite of tools to make everything super easy for you. And one benefit to this, I'm not a CPA, but ask your tax pro, because for a lot of people, the pro is actually tax deductible. So you can take this from me, but you also take it from many of the pro members who have found success, have found financial freedom through pro, like Aaron C., who said there's no way he could analyze the volume of properties I do without being a pro member. That is key. As we've talked about, you need to run a lot of numbers to find those great deals, and Aaron's using pro to do that. Or take it from Beth, who said that pro has been the foundation of her real estate investing endeavor. That is awesome to hear. These are just a few examples. You can find them all across our community of how pro helps. Now, you're probably wondering how much this is. And if you added up each of the things I've talked about here individually, it would actually come out to $5,000. Now, that would be well worth it if it got you even one deal, but that's a pretty big investment. And it's really not what we're about at BiggerPockets. At BP, our mission is to make real estate investing accessible so we can make all the amazing tools of Pro available for the reasonable price, which is $39 a month or $468 a year. But let me give you a tip. If you actually go Pro annual, which is you pay for it up front, you get a lot of savings. It's only $390. But I told you at the beginning that we have a special offer for you. And just for watching this webinar today, I'm going to give you 20% off BP Pro, and that will get your price down to just $312 per year, which is $150 in savings, which is incredible. But I'm actually going to do you one better because we're feeling generous at BiggerPockets recently, and we developed a couple of things because we really want to get you started on that momentum and building that stack. Number one bonus here is the Show Me the Money Starter Pack, and you have to go pro today to get this. It's a $470 value, but check this out. First, you get an ebook, which is 6 steps to eliminating debt. You also get a worksheet to build a bulletproof wealth plan, and you get a 9-hour workshop. This is so valuable on no and low money down investing. We also have another bonus called the Demystifying the Housing Market Bundle, which I personally put together, but you have a How to Invest in a Changing Economy guide, an Investing in Uncertain Economy video on how to build scenario plans, and my 2024 State of Real Estate Investing report. This is a $500 value that you get for going pro today. The third bonus is the ACE Year Analysis Toolkit. I love this one because I get to give you my book for free. It's Real Estate by the Numbers. I wrote it with Jay Scott. It's a best-selling book all about how to get really good at identifying deals that you should actually pursue. The book's super helpful, but we're going to throw in an Excel file that is incredible. I've developed this over many, many years that's going to help you analyze deals even better. And you'll get tutorials on how to use all of these tools. So all of those things together are in the incredible value that we have for you in Pro. And there's also a guarantee. So you can try out BiggerPockets Pro. And if you don't like it, you have up to 30 days to say, hey, This isn't for me. I'm not going to invest in real estate. I don't like these tools. You'll get an 100% refund, no questions asked. We just believe in the product, and we know that if you're going to invest and you want to actually go out and buy deals, that this is going to be well worth every single dollar. So just to summarize the offer that we have for you today, Pro normally over $400, but if you go Pro today, make sure to use the code YTFirst24. So those are the letters YTFIRST, then the numbers 24. And that's the code that's going to get you 20% off Pro. So that's going to make you pay $312. You're also going to get the Show Me the Money Starter Pack, Demystifying the Housing Market Bundle, and the Ace Your Analysis Toolkit. This is over $5,000 of value, guys, but at BiggerPockets, we want to give it to you to get you started for just $312. If you want some help on your journey, don't forget to go pro at biggerpockets.com/pro. Make sure to do it today and use that code YTFirst24 because that's going to get you the 20% off plus all of these unique bonuses that we have here for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you learned something about how to build momentum towards that portfolio and how you can get around many of the common roadblocks that stop people just like you from investing. I hope you can see that if you follow process, if you find the right tools, if you build the right network, anyone can invest in real estate. For BiggerPockets, my name's Dave Meyer. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to connect with me, you can always find me on BiggerPockets. I hope you see you around the community.